Hi everyone, my name is Catherine Tao and I'm the host of the Data Standard Audio Experience. And today we have Jackie Zuker, the Director of Data Products at Employers. And today we're going to be speaking about agile and data science. And so thank you so much for coming onto the show. I'm very excited to speak with you, Jackie.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And so let's just get started. Can you tell the audience more about your background?
Yeah, so my name is Jackie Zuker. I am a data scientist, a data enthusiast, and a director of data products at Employers Insurance. We specialize specifically in workers' compensation insurance. And previously, I've worked as a data scientist, a machine learning software engineer, but I actually started my career as a wildlife biologist. So I think it's pretty common that data scientists come from other careers, and I'm one of them. But at the end of the day, I just love data and I love helping drive insights.
Yeah, and that's great to hear that your background is just like you said, everybody kind of comes from a different background and then it kind of leads them to data science. So that's interesting. It's very different, just going from more of that biology research kind of side to now data science. But yeah, so why is agile so important for data science teams?
If you think about the history of agile, it's really been developed to drive productivity in application product development and code development. But there are some major ways that, some major similarities with data science and how you might want to approach a project. So the biggest difference is, there's this big research component to a data science project. You don't necessarily know what insights you'll find or how much research will really be needed or how much development. Sometimes what kind of data you'll have access to. Sometimes you're kind of scraping the web and looking for, your best sources of information. But there are a lot of similarities too. The biggest one being alignment with the business. One of the results of using an agile approach to developing your data science project is you end up with much greater alignment with the business. You're not necessarily going into a locked room for that 8 months and then coming out with this, finished thing and saying, here you go. And the business says, oh, actually, that's not even what I wanted at all, or, something's changed or something like that. So, having that greater alignment with the business is very important. Smoother delivery and integration. Many of these projects are super complex and they have all these moving pieces. And sometimes you don't necessarily know if there's going to be an issue with integration. You might not know until you actually build that piece out. So by having this focus on working software, having this focus on, having some sort of streamlined something that works, it kind of helps ensure that you're going to have that smoother delivery. Another one is having that responsiveness to unpredictable or changing requirements. Sometimes the business moves as fast as your data science project is moving. So you might start working on one problem and then you find all these insights and you actually find that you can use it for something else, or maybe that's no longer needed. This new thing is what we need. So, just being able to think in a way and work in a way that's very responsive is really suitable for data science. Frequent delivery of working software is another one. Where that working software is that primary measure of success and whatnot. So,
Yeah, great insight. And so, just coming from like a data science field, it's a very technical field. And a lot of times, data science, of course, you're doing all these technical findings, and then you have to be able to translate it into business terms, into to make business decisions for the company overall. And so, with that, it also involves agile. So, for people who might be more on the technical side, does everybody from a team kind of learn about agile on the job, or is it required for people to normally take formal classes and certificates to be able to understand agile methodologies?
I don't think you necessarily need to take a formal course or certification. Honestly, in college, there's so much to learn. And, you've got these big foundations you have to build in mathematics and computer programming. There's no reason to kind of pile on, an additional course. But at the same time, it will be valuable to have a reasonable amount of familiarity and to keep an open mind to it. A lot of data science teams today aren't really using Agile. It's certainly not the rule of thumb to be using Agile today, but if you look at job postings for data scientists, those top companies, I'm thinking Amazon and Facebook and IBM, they're all going to either call out Agile specifically, or they're going to have something like a demonstrable track record dealing with ambiguity and prioritizing needs, so these are some of the things that are the benefits of Agile. So yeah, keep an open mind and get some familiarity, but you don't necessarily need to take a full course.
Awesome. And so, with Agile and just anything that we really do within a company setting, there's always going to be sometimes mistakes or just challenges that people face. So, what are some common challenges that you see for teams that kind of use Agile?
Oh, so many. I think a lot of those common mistakes are centered around perception. And one of the biggest one is the amount of waterfall that's masquerading around as Agile. These are teams that use all the lingo of Agile. They're using Jira, which is a pretty common development platform for leveraging Agile frameworks, but they're still putting all the requirements up front. They're still requiring essays of documentation before you even start developing. And so I think to an outside business user who's looking in and saying, look, this team's using Agile and it's failing. It's not working. Well, it actually was never Agile to begin with. It's still waterfall. They just kind of haven't really embraced that core essence of Agile. So I guess another common mistake is business users kind of using Agile as a synonym for not working. And part of Agile is having this focus on a very core, what's called an MVP, a minimum viable product, as soon as possible. So then you can then add on all your bells and whistles. You can then improve your product, but they don't totally realize that they got a working product in a tenth of the time. And so it might not have all those bells and whistles yet, but it's still much, much better than this traditional approach of building everything and then releasing.
And so now I just wanted to transition over to the topic of just agile methodologies. So the methodologies for Kanban and Scrum are kind of under the umbrella of agile. So can you tell us more about some key differences between the two?
The key differences, teams have found a lot of success using both sort of frameworks. One of the big differences is in Scrum, you're going to have these 2-week sprints or sprints of some length, most often 2 weeks. Sometimes longer. But in Kanban, you're going to have kind of this continuous delivery of tasks that need to be done, continuous delivery of those completed tasks on the other side. What's really nice about Kanban is you can build in all of these lanes for pieces that need to go to other groups. And sometimes, let's say I have a task to analyze XYZ. I'll develop the code, I'll run the code, I'll validate the code, but then I'm going to send it to another user for user acceptance testing, UAT, or I'm going to send it to another developer to validate for themselves and review. And sometimes that doesn't really fit into a 2-week sprint very well. So what's really nice is, when you have this continuous sort of approach, it doesn't necessarily have to be completed in that 2-week time cycle. We actually use Scrum right now, and there's a lot of benefits to that as well. But we're kind of thinking about moving to a more Kanban approach.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for that insight. And so my final question for you is just, do you have any advice for those coming from a more technical field, such as data science or engineering, and they're trying to get into the data product space? What are some things that they can do?
Oh, actually, the boot camps that are out there, some of these data science boot camps are really, really great. And what I really like about them is that they have a focus on delivery. They have a focus on projects. And so it's one thing to kind of read about a lot of these techniques and just kind of have some kind of academic knowledge of them. But then when you actually build it and you actually hit that wall, and then you get stuck, and then you have to troubleshoot, and then you have to find the way to get past it, that is invaluable. Especially when you're getting started in coding, you're going to do that a lot. You're just going to get stuck and it feels like it's going to last forever. But then you're really building this skill set on how to troubleshoot, how to move past. and it will really help drive your speed later on. So just know it's part of the learning process. But those data science boot camps are great. And, beyond that, just, if you are still in school, just building out those big foundational areas, computer programming, mathematics, get all that good stuff. And then networking, and just, find a mentor if you can. Find a working data scientist, take them out to coffee, kind of bring something of value to that conversation. But, most people, they're willing to go out to a cup of coffee with you or do a virtual Zoom meeting these days. And you can really just pick their brains on how to get in, how to get started, what to do next. But yeah, one more benefit of those data science boot camps is they give you a path to follow. If you're kind of trying to self-learn and you're setting sail in this sea of possible directions, and you've got NLP here, and you've got AI, and you've got all these different areas, and you don't know where to start, and it's easy to just get lost and take one step in every direction and never actually get anywhere. But these data science boot camps will give you kind of a path through that sea of options, where you end up with something really valuable.
Yeah, I've definitely spoken to a lot of people about just these certificate programs or courses that you can take on the
Mm-hmm.
side just to learn more and to put on your resume. So that's awesome. Great insight. So thank you so much, Jackie, for just being on our show and for just speaking more about agile in a data product sense. And so we at the Data Standard, we're trying to build a community of data thought leaders and data enthusiasts in order for everyone to just have a space where they can collaborate and network with each other. So what is something that the community can do for you?
Oh, I've really enjoyed listening to these podcasts. I think you guys are doing a really cool thing. And I think it's really great to have this kind of focus on college students and focus on introverts is really interesting. If anybody wants to network a little bit, the best way to connect would probably be through meetup.com. I lead a group called Big Data and Brews. And in normal times, we meet at various breweries in the Reno and Sacramento areas, and we talk about data science topics. But these days we're completely virtual, and we host various hackathons. We have one running that's basically a Raspberry Pi hackathon. We'll have a GAN-focused hackathon coming in a few months. So feel free to get involved if you just want to build and work with people who have some amount of expertise or familiarity in these areas.
Yeah, I like that. And where can our community find you online?
Meetup group is great, meetup.com. Also, I'm on LinkedIn under Jackie Zuker. Those are probably the best two.
Great. And for more information on the Data Standard, you can find us at www.datastandard.io. And once again, this episode is sponsored by Pandio. They're the hot new startup using Apache Pulsar messaging systems. So learn more about their work at pandio.com. So thank you so much, Jackie, for speaking with me today. It was a great conversation, and I look forward to hearing back from you again in the future.
Thank you so much. Good luck and take care.